Hello and welcome back to Mindful Sojourn. Today has been quite a day. I actually started recording this video earlier today and was interrupted by housing inspectors and barking dogs, and I thought I could piece together this video. I kept recording in segments, but then my son woke up from his nap. You know, it's just been one of those days. So I scratched those videos and I decided to just catch you up on where I'm at now. So if you are just now joining me for the first time, welcome to Mindful Sojourn. I'm Janie. Thank you for being here. If this isn't your first video, thank you for your continued support. So in my previous video, part 1, I took a cereal box and turned it into this cover. And so when I saw you last time, all we had was basically the cereal box and then the fabric over it. What I did since then, I added the inside covers, the cover over this inside spine. I did the ribbon for a closure, and then I put on the topper. Now I'm going to step you through this because I want to save you the trouble of making the same mistakes that I continue to make. This isn't my first junk journal, and I still sometimes forget the order of the steps. So if you do plan to put in some kind of closure like this, there are other types of closures that you can attach after the fact. You know, you could punch a hole here, put an eyelet, things like that. But if you are wanting to attach this type of closure, you want to put this in before you put on your inside covers. You want to, do your fabric cover or the outer cover, and then put this down, and then put all 3 of these layers or pieces over the ribbon or whatever else you're using. Don't do what I do what I say. Because what I did today, I just being distracted by my 3 children, my human child and my 2 dogs, and then the inspectors, I kept coming back to it and I would forget where I was, and yeah, so I put down this inside cover and this cover on the spine, thinking, well, I'm gonna wait to put this one down because I want to sew on my topper, and then I'll cover all these threads with the front cover, front inside. But then, so I got these 2 pieces down, and then I remembered, oh shoot, I didn't do my closure. So I went ahead and put that down, and I decided to just kind of cover it here with a matching piece of scrapbook paper, and I think that looks fine. I'm not worried about that. But then once I got that down, I came here. This is 4 pieces of paper. So this is a piece of scrapbook paper from the same pack, from the same paper pad that these pieces are from. And I'll be using other pieces of paper from that same paper pad throughout the signatures of this junk journal, just so there's a cohesive design because it's all celestial. So that's what this background piece is from. And then this is a piece of antique sheet music. And then this is just a piece of dyed or antiqued graph paper. And then I'll probably use some stamping, letters, and write journal or something on here. And then this little image is from a DigiKit by Pam at the Paper Outpost. This was my very first time using any part of a DigiKit. I just printed this one out and cut it out to be this focal point or the centerpiece of this topper. So I had this very loosely glued down, thinking, oh, I'm gonna sew all of this down. Well, like as I said, I've been interrupted numerous times, and couldn't get my sewing machine to do what I wanted and had to do a video call with my grandmother. Not had to, I love doing video calls with my grandmother, especially doing crafting, but I was still just kind of, I just want to get today's work done. So I did this first stitch and thought, okay, my topper is on, but I realized, oh, I used a glue stick on these other 3 pieces. These are not staying down. I have to sew these down. But I'm so scattered today. I sewed this down, then I came here and put my inside cover on, and then it was after that that I realized I didn't sew down these pieces. So that's why you see these poking through. So what I'm going to do now is cover that up. This video, I wanted part 2 to be sewing in my signatures, but that's not gonna happen. It's already 6:30 p.m. local time and I'm done. I did all of this sewing, which this did turn out. I was happy with how this sewing turned out. So I had black thread for my bobbin thread underneath, and then white for my main thread on top. I did that on purpose because I wanted the contrast. I wanted the white around this border and I wanted the black on this border. So I'm very happy with how that turned out. And I actually don't even mind this because these papers, both of these pieces of paper are from the same paper pad or pack. I think that looks fine. And then this will become a pocket. So I'll glue this down on 3 sides so you won't see these threads. I was already planning on putting pockets in here. I actually have some vellum, which I've never used before. Vellum is basically just a sheer paper. It almost even feels kind of like plastic. I don't know how I would describe it. So I was planning on using some vellum here, which I honestly wanted to sew down with this, but I'm a new sewer. I'm new at sewing and I wasn't sure, without gluing this, I wasn't sure how to, because when I sewed this border, I was sewing this way so that the white would be on top and the black underneath. So basically I didn't know how to keep this attached underneath as I sewed, with it being on the bottom. I probably would have had to tape it or glue it somehow. So I decided to just hold off on that. So for covering up my mistake, which that's basically what this video is going to be about now. Instead of sewing in the signatures, that will be my next video. Instead, I am just going over, I'm catching you up from the previous video to where I am now because I did all of this off camera, obviously. Well, not all of it was off camera. Most of this and creating this topper was on camera. I recorded it, but then dogs started barking and people showed up and baby woke up and I realized that the video was not going to have a cohesive, it was going to be filmed in segments throughout the day, so it wouldn't have had a cohesive feeling to it. So instead of part 2 being sewing in the signatures, I'm just catching you up, and I hope that made sense. So to help you avoid making the same mistakes I did, if you're picking up from where we left off in the previous video, we have the cereal box cut down like this. We put on the fabric and that was it. So underneath this paper, you could see all the cereal box writing. You could see Kashi Cinnamon Crunch in here, and that's all we had. So then step 2 or not step 2, but the next step after that would be putting down your closure. You want to do that next, so that, see how on this side the ribbon is underneath this paper, whereas here it's above it. It was above it here, and I just covered it with more scrapbook paper to make it a little bit more blended, you know. And I don't mind that it's visible here because my signatures are going to be here, so it won't really be that noticeable. So that would be the next step. You put on your fabric or outer cover, whatever you're using, whether it's fabric or paper. Then put your closure down. Then you can put your spine, inside spine cover, these covers. However, if you're doing any sewing here, you want to wait to put your cover, your inside cover. You want to wait to glue this down until you've sewn whatever you want to sew on here. Additionally, if you are using any kind of ribbon or lace, which I thought about doing, I thought about putting lace here along the spine, but I decided not to. I felt like having all of this covered in lace would not only cover too much of this fabric, which I love so much, but I felt like it would also just kind of take away from this topper. So I decided not to do that. If you are putting something on your spine, you know, and folding it over on your, onto the front and back, you will want to also do that before you put any of this paper down. So you put your outer cover around the box, glue that down. Then if you, let me see if I have some lace. This is actually a dress I just bought at a thrift store to use for crafting. So I'll show you. I would have used white lace for this, but my white lace is in the other room, but I'm just using this for an example. So you would have it basically go around your spine like this. So on the front, it would have, you know, looked something like that. So you, and then it would fold here onto the inside. So you want to put that on after your outer cover. And then once that is glued securely, then you can put these two pieces down. Then collage or book plate, whatever you are putting on the front, if there's any sewing, you do that next. Then this piece last. So as you can see, what I did wrong, I did it all out of order because today was so scattered. I've been working on this throughout the day and in pieces, and so I go out and then I jump back in and, you know, I forget where I'm at and I think, oh, I'm done with this, so I'm gonna put this piece of paper on, and then I realized I forgot to sew these down, and which is why you can see this here. So I didn't really have a specific plan for how I wanted to sew this. It looks messy, and that's partly because I'm a beginner with a sewing machine and partly because I didn't really care if it was messy. I like the messy look, how all of these lines are kind of intersecting. I didn't want for it to be like a perfect line, just, you know, squared around, you know, framing one of these or all of them. So this was intentional. I just decided to do these three lines, just one here, here, and here. But then it was visible here because I did this out of order. So I hope you are all having a less chaotic day than I am. I mean, it hasn't been bad. It's just been, there's a lot going on. So I need to decide what I want to put here. And I think I like this one. My other quick drying glue is in the other room, but that's also the one that gives me a headache. So I'm going to use this one. Now when you're gluing for a pocket like this, you want to get as close to the edge as possible. And you only need, you know, a very thin amount. And let's get this down where we want it. So as I've said before in previous videos, there are no mistakes in crafting. I mean, unless you sew your finger to whatever you're sewing, like, yes, that would be a big mistake, a big boo-boo. But, you know, shy of cutting your finger with your paper trimmer or sewing your finger to the book, there are no mistakes in crafting. There are only happy mistakes, because any mistake like this can just be covered up and it's no big deal. So voila, now we have a pocket. There we go. That's a poor example because this wasn't fitted for that pocket, but I also didn't want to go too crazy with stuffing something in there while this is drying. So if you have glue like this that has bled out, get it off while you can just wipe it away while it's still wet. It's harder to do once it's dry. So there's that mistake. Another mistake that I want to cover up is some of this stitching. As I said, I am new, not just with sewing, but with this machine specifically. I mean, I have sewn before, but not with a machine like this. This is a heavy duty machine. It has, I don't know, at least 20 different stitches. I've never sewn like a zigzag stitch like this. So like I learned how to sew when I was younger. My grandmother, whom I had my video call with today, thank you Mimi for being my tech support when I couldn't figure out how to get my machine to do what I wanted. When I was, I don't know, 10, 12 years old, somewhere around there, she found an older used sewing machine. I don't remember where she got it, maybe a thrift store or somewhere, but it was in decent condition, and she got it for me so that she could teach me how to sew. So I learned the basics from my grandmother a long time ago, but then I just never kept up with it as a hobby. So fast forward to today, this was my first time using a newer heavy duty machine. And so a couple things I want to cover up. I want to cover this. So when I sewed this border, I think I started here and came along this way, and so it was one continuous line of stitching. I didn't, you know, stop at each corner, you know. I mean, I stopped, but I turned it and then just kept going. So I started and stopped here, and I forgot to do a back stitch both times. I forgot to do a back stitch when I started and then when I ended. And so I pulled all the threads through to this one side and tied them off and cut them. And then I also added some glue just to be extra sure that those threads weren't going anywhere. But now, because I have all this messy, bulky, like there's a couple knots here, I want to cover that up. And then also, I don't know if you can see, let me see. I don't even know what happened here. I think, see how the underneath thread comes all the way out here, and same on the top, it comes all the way out here. I think this is when I was turning this page, or like when I was turning this corner. I must have gone too wide at one point as I made that turn, rounded the corner, and it just went outside. It went off the material. So what I was thinking about doing was using something to make corner tucks. Make a corner tuck here and here. So let's go through my scraps. And so, I mean, I guess it'll still be visible here, but that's okay. Let's see. I could use the vellum. So it would be a sheer pocket. I don't know if I would want it to come all the way to the edge. It would match this. I'm definitely gonna leave this how it is, because I thought about putting just a vellum pocket on the front and back on the inside. But now, because of all my boo-boos, I am not going to do that. I have all of these, what are these called? Oh, my brain. You know, each month is a, you know, Gemini, Capricorn. I can't even think of, you know, honestly, I should scrap this video because I can't even come up with words. That's where my brain is today. I can't think of, it's not astrology. It's the, what is this? The zodiac. Oh my gosh. Oh, that took me, why did it take so long for me to remember that? I think I'm gonna save these because I have, you know, one card for each of the signs. And so I think I'm going to evenly disperse them. They'll become pockets in my signatures. And so I'll evenly disperse these throughout the 5 signatures. So I might hold on to those. I think that's too big. This matches this. But see, I was thinking of doing something on an angle. Diagonally. Any Harry Potter fans out there? Let me think, what else do I have? This is a scrap from, here. Let's just go through my pile. Oh, while we're here, here's a preview of my signatures. We were supposed to be sewing these in today, but go with the flow. Don't beat yourself up for your day not turning out how you planned. I think these will fit nicely. So they'll be in there like that. I probably could have done more than 5, but I don't like doing too many here because once the holes get closer together, you're more likely to have tearing, even though this is a reinforced spine. But anyways, yeah, I loved, this is from a different paper pad or paper scrapbook pad or pack. But I thought it went perfectly with this theme, not just because of the colors, but this design. It totally made me think of like the Milky Way. So I think they go together nicely. And same with this one. I thought it matched really well with the color scheme. So those are the signatures. We'll be sewing those into the spine in the next video. I've got sheet music. What do I want to use for pockets? This is how organized I am. All my scraps. Oh, I have doilies. I could do a doily pocket. I think that'll work. And actually, I could just do a doily at the top and bottom. I think that'll work. It covers up this missed stitch or whatever happened there. It'll cover this bulkiness. I may just, ooh, that glue is still damp. I think that'll work. What do you think? How do you like to cover up your accidents? Not necessarily cover them up, but, you know, fix them and turn them into something else. That's what I was saying before. There's no boo-boos in art. There's no accidents or mistakes. With art, there's no right or wrong. I don't know. Maybe there's some gray areas where there are, but just spitballing here, rambling. I don't think there's any accidents. And what did I do with my scissors? I don't even know. I think they're off at my sewing machine. That's where they are. Because I was just using them to cut my threads. That's where they are. And now I hear my son crying. Let's see. It's almost his bedtime, so I don't know how far I will get with this. That got a little messed up. So, how are you all doing today? Did you have housing inspections and crazy dogs and emotional toddlers? My son is obsessed with dinosaurs right now, and he has some new ones that he just acquired within the last week. One was given to him by a friend. The other two I found for like $1 at the thrift store yesterday or the day before, I can't even remember. And so they're brand new, and I think the reason he was being so emotional with them earlier is because he wanted to walk around with all of them, and he couldn't figure out how to, like, you know, hold on to all of them at the same time because he's only a year and a half old. And so it was upsetting him that he couldn't figure out how to walk around with all 3 of these, and a couple of them are pretty big, not huge, but. And that was another thing, another reason I scrapped the videos I was recording earlier is because he woke up from his nap, and I decided to, once I went and got him and got him set up with his toys, I decided to continue filming, and I thought, oh, he's got his dinosaurs, he'll be fine for a few more minutes. Well, one of the new dinosaurs makes noise. And so here I am, you know, working on all of this, and you hear a T-Rex roaring in the background. And so I was like, you know, I don't think this is gonna work. So that's what happened to the videos earlier. So just like with, well, actually that pocket was 3 sides of glue. This one is just going to be 2, as you can see. And I'm just gonna line that up. And you can always add more to this. I've seen videos showing how to use doilies like this for pockets or tucks. I probably should have actually reinforced this with, yeah, some other sturdier paper or something underneath it. I might do that with this one though. But of course, my scissors are in the other room. There's a couple different ways you can do this. You can completely glue these together, or you can have 2 pockets basically. I might end up redoing that one just because I think that's going to be kind of weak. Yeah, I think this will be the tuck. And do I want this? Yeah, I want this to be down. So I do like this glue. It's pretty strong. It doesn't glue too quickly. So like if you make a mistake and realize you need to pull something off, it's not glue, you know, it's not like instant glue. Something I don't like about it though is that it does make things pretty wrinkly. I shouldn't have put glue under here. So I'm just gonna kind of hold that back, make it just roughly. So we'll see. I'm gonna leave that for now and go tend to my child. I hope this gets you to the next step from where we left off in the previous video. And if you missed part 1, I will link it below so that you can catch up on that. In part 1, we took a cereal box and turned it into the outer shell. This is a cereal box. Then we put the fabric on it, and that was it. And then between part 1 and part 2, I put on all of the inside covers, book page on the spine cover, scrapbook paper here, and then this collaged topper for the centerpiece on the outside. And now in this video, as you can see, I have covered up some of my sewing mistakes by creating, oh, that has glue on it. What can I use to demonstrate? So this is a pocket here. This is a tuck spot, and this is a tuck spot. Now I may end up removing this one and reinforcing it with sturdier paper the way I did this one, but we will see. But that is the two or three, these are the three mistake recovery efforts. So I need to go chill and relax and get my kid to bed. Actually, reverse that order. I need to get the kid to bed and then I can relax. So, hope you are all having an amazing Thursday, jumping into the weekend tomorrow, and I will see you next time. Bye.